Hi everyone, welcome to today's new video. In today's video, I'm going to be tier ranking my 5-star reads because I have, I think, 21 5-star reads out of, I think, 150 books that I've read. And I was looking through them, like, I think it was yesterday, and I was like, these are not the same categories of 5-star reads, even though they're all ranked as 5 stars. So we're gonna be tier ranking my 5-star reads. So we will be tier ranking my 5-star reads, and let's go through the tiers first. Okay, so first we have 1,000,000 stars. These are like my absolute favorite reads. Nothing tops these books. These are my babies. Then we go to We'll Definitely Reread One Day. These are books that I think are really, really good. They're not in my top tier, but I would definitely reread them just for like vibes and just because I love them, but not enough to be one of my favorite books. Then I just have like the mid category, simply loved it. After that we have, this would be a 4.5 stars now. These are books that I'm like, at the time I rated them 5 stars, but now they would be like more of a 4.5 stars. And then I have Why the Hell Did I Rate This So High? So I already know a couple of books that are probably going to be in this category. But let's start the ranking. First we have The Hunger Games, and you know what? I really, really love the book. I do think the movies are better actually, but I just loved it. I think it was nostalgic because obviously we've all seen the films and stuff, and the book was just good. It was just reliving the memory, and I loved that. Yeah. Then we have Echo War, and I have this thing with Sarah J. Maas books where I feel kind of obligated to rate her books really high, almost like always a 5-star. But since I started the Throne of Glass series, I haven't been doing that anymore. But with like Echo War, Echo Mouth, Echo Tart, all those books, I felt like almost obligated to give it a 5 stars because of how much effort, how much like the plot was so good, and like the whole Mars verse, I think it's called, it's just so well thought of that I feel obligated to give her a high rating. But if I look at how much I enjoyed the books, I think Echo War, yeah, I'm in doubt between loved it or this would be a 4.5 stars. I'm gonna go, well, still loved it. I think I still loved it, but I don't know if I would rate it a 5 stars now if I were to reread it. Yeah, then we have the Mindfuck series, and that is immediately going in 1,000,000 stars. This is one of my favorite book series, also my first dark romance series, and I adored this book. This whole plot line was so good. I loved the main characters. I absolutely adored every part of this. It was so dark and also really sad, but still the book was just beautiful. And then we have Love Theoretically, which is also one of my 1,000,000 stars read. This was with The Secret History, my favorite book of last year, and this has been my favorite romance book together with Magnolia Parks ever since. And I just love these characters. They felt so almost like home to me, and I loved every single bit about this book. So this is definitely going in my 1,000,000 stars ranking. Yeah, then we have Caravan, and Caravan, I definitely like Caravan more than Once Upon a Broken Heart, which is strange because normally it's kind of the other way around. But I don't think it's my favorite book, so I think it's gonna go in, I will definitely reread this one day. But also, I don't know if I have the brain power to go through all of that again. But I like really loved Caravan. I like the characters way more than the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and I also like the plot of Caravan more. And yeah, just overall vibes were, in my opinion, better in Caravan than in Once Upon a Broken Heart. Yeah, then I have the Hardstopper novel, and I think that's gonna go in, this would be a 4.5 stars now, because I do think, like, obviously the graphic novels are super cute. I love them. They're like yeah, like I said, really cute, but I don't think it's a 5-star read because it's a graphic novel, and I don't think I can count that in as well. It's reading obviously, but it isn't the same level as some of the books that are on this list. So yeah, then we have Akomath, and I think that's also going to go in Loved It. I expected a little more of this book because like whole book talk and booktube and like everyone was raving about this book and like, oh my god, the romance is amazing, and I felt a little disappointed by it because the romance only happened in what, the last 100 pages of the book, and I think the romance was a bit mid. I have read books that have far better romance, but I do think Aquawar was my favorite out of the original trilogy with Feyre and Rhysand. So, but I still loved Aquamath because like the whole going from Tamlin to Rhysand, that part was just really good, and also the love scenes that they had were really, really good. So I'm gonna put that in Loved It. Yeah, then we come to Silent Patient, and this is always a bit of a controversial one because I've seen so many mixed opinions about this, but I think it's gonna go in Loved It because I was so shocked with the plot twist. I know so many people were like, oh, that was so predictable, I don't know how you didn't get that, but I honestly, I was blind. I think I didn't guess that at all, and it just shocked me, and I think this was the only book I've ever read that actually shocked me. So I loved it, and I would definitely recommend it if you like a psychological thriller. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna put it in Loved It actually. Then we have The Secret History, and for anyone who knows me, this is my absolute favorite book. I read this last year, I think it was in May, and I haven't shut up about it ever since. I also bought the other copies of The Secret History because I'm obsessed, and I'm currently like trying to reread it, but I'm just reading little bits and pieces. So I'll read like a chapter and then underline and annotate, and I'm just going through it really slowly because I just want to experience this book forever. So that's my favorite book of all time. Yeah, then I have Animal Farm, and I think that's also going to go in. This would be a 4.5 stars now because I do think it is a really good book, but I don't think I would rate it 5 stars now. It was a read that I did for school. I did like a part of my finals on Animal Farm, so it has a little bit of a special place for me, and I did really like it, and I also like symbolism. Yeah, I just don't think the plot was like that entertaining. Only when you go deeper into the book, that's when it becomes good. But if you just read it like it is, like, oh, the pigs go and like tell the cows and the donkeys and the horse that they have to work harder, you're like, what kind of a child's fable is this? But then when you like look into it, then it gets interesting. So I don't think the book would be 5 stars now. Then we have It Ends With Us, and this was the first book I read for fun. So this was kind of what started this whole journey. So for that, I'm very thankful. But I've seen all the criticism. I know the Colleen Hoover hates, and at the time the book was really, really good in my opinion. But looking back at it, I think it's gonna go in, why the hell did I rate this so high? I think if I would read it now, it would be around 3.5 stars. And at that time it was really good because I had no comparison to that book. But yeah, I think this was a solid book to begin with, but I'm glad my reading taste has evolved from this. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is going into, this would be a 4.5 stars now. I think the book is good. I like the story, I like the plot, I like the characters, I like everything about it. It's just not giving me the same feeling as the other books on this list. So I don't think it is supposed to be higher up. I also thought that the plot twist was kind of random, and I don't think it did the plot any good necessarily. But I really liked the whole old Hollywood part and the part of Evelyn's life, which was kind of sad actually, but it was really well written, and I like how Taylor Jenkins Reid just makes these characters almost like a living human being, you know? When you read her book, you're like, did this person actually exist or is this fiction? And when authors do that, like blur the line between fiction and reality, that's just so impressive. So I think it's a 4.5 stars. But yeah, then we have the Assassin's Blade, and this is honestly a controversial one because I've seen so much hate on the first 3 books of the series. People always say, oh, but it only gets good from Air of Fire onwards. And I think that is not true, like absolutely not true. I think the series before Air of Fire is great. Like Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, amazing books. But then Air of Fire, Queen of Shadows, the tandem read, and I haven't read Kingdom of Ash. I'm going to start that one really soon. But I think those books after that are less good than the first 3 books. So the Assassin's Blade is actually going in 1,000,000 stars because this was my favorite book in the series, and I will not shut up about this book. This was OG Throne of Glass, and that was the best part for me personally. So I would definitely put this as one of my favorite books, together with the next book, which is Throne of Glass, the original book. I think these 2 are the best books in the series, together with Crown of Midnight. I think I rated Crown of Midnight 4.75 stars. But these 2 books, magnificent. I think the Assassins part was far more interesting than the Queen Aelin part and the whole war part, because after Crown of Midnight, the storyline completely switches, because then they have like Fae and powers and they have to go to war, but the plot is really dragged out and you have all these point of views, and I like some of those, but most of them felt so unnecessary, and I think the Assassins bit was far more entertaining. Like Selena being a badass, going around and like, this sounds weird, but killing people and being just a badass assassin was far more entertaining than Aelin trying to be like, oh, you want to be allies? No, okay, I'll just put your whole town in fire. Also, the romance in Assassin's Blade. Like I said, I only have the last book left, but Rowan could never. Rowan is just not as good as Sam. I'm sorry, I just don't like the romance between Aelin and Rowan. I said it. So, next book is The Selection, and why the hell did I rate this so high? This is a solid 3-star book. I think that was because it was like kind of one of the first dystopian books that I tried, and at the time I loved it and I read the whole series. But America, she annoyed me so much. Her whining and going back from, I think it was Maxon and Aspen, like, oh, I want him, oh, I want him, I want him, I want him. Just choose, please just choose. I hate love triangles, but this was by far the worst I've ever read. So no, this would be a 3-star now, I think. Yeah, and then we have Iron Flame, and that is going in, this would be a 4.5 stars, because it wasn't as good as Fourth Wing. I've made a separate video, I think, about this, but Iron Flame, I gave that 5 stars because it's like the second book in Fourth Wing, and I loved Fourth Wing, so it was a kind of like, I was biased, obviously, but looking back at it now, I don't think it's a 5-star. And then we have Fourth Wing, which was a 5-star, and that's going in, loved it. just a simple 5-star. I don't think I will reread it because it takes so much time to read those books because the font size is teeny tiny. But I really liked it. I liked the dragons, I liked romance, I liked everything about this book. So it's going in loved it. Then we have Piranesi. And I think this sounds so stupid, but I didn't get this book. I didn't understand it, and I was like, maybe I'm just stupid, so it must be a 5-star read if I don't understand it, and everyone loves it, so it must be a 5 stars. So this book just made me feel stupid, and that's why I gave it a 5-star. But I think I would put it now in, maybe in loved it, or in would be a 4.5. I think it would be a 4.5 because I just didn't get it. I had to actively research like the plot for me to get it, and that's not a good sign. I read it, I had no clue what I had read. I still don't get it. If I hear people talking about this book, I still don't get it. And I read it in my mother language because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get this when I read it in English because it's not my first language. But even in my first language, I didn't get it. So maybe I'm just stupid, I don't know. But this book was just something else. I've never had that before, that I just didn't get a book, but this book I just didn't get. Then we have Magnolia Parks, also going in loved it. I think it's one of my favorite romance books. It's not in the top tier, but it's definitely like an amazing book. I think it's very toxic, so if you are not a fan of that, you won't like this book. But I really liked it, and I was actually rooting for the other guy more, and he lost, so I was kind of sad. Song of Achilles, that's a hard one because I don't think it's one of my favorite books. So it would be in, we'll definitely reread one day. But the thing is, I don't want to reread that because it just gives you severe emotional pain. So I'm gonna put it in, we'll definitely reread one day, but I won't reread it because I don't want to experience that ever again. Because it's so sad. It's just so sad. And then we have the first Shatter Me book. This is also controversial, I guess. That's going in, this would be a 4.5 stars now, because I think Shatter Me and, was it Defy Me? I think it's Defy Me. Those two books are the best books in the series. The first book because it just sets everything up really nicely, and Defy Me because that's the only book that's actually very plot heavy and entertaining. So yeah, those are the only ones that I enjoyed in that series. The other books and the other novellas were absolutely not my thing. Let's keep it at that, because I will probably make a separate video once I've read all the books, all the novellas. So this was the video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read these books and what you rated them, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!